just sit quietly.
Do you not remember that Tumblr? It just sounded very intoxicated. Earlier, I hit my hand really hard on the counter and just broke down in hysterical laughter, so I don't know what's going on with me today.
A couple of wires crossed.
Yeah, I guess so. But do you remember that Tumblr post that's like, it's like one of those story concept ones, and the idea is that a bunch of elder gods get sent to this world and they just become pop stars because they don't know what else to do?
Yeah, I do vaguely remember that.
I think about that all the time because that is like the ideal book that I want to write, but I can't obviously because it's somebody else's idea. And obviously that's a post based on, you know, Hosier and Florence Welch, so nobody said it. So
we all knew it was Hosier and Florence
Welch. So it's just like so many layers.
Nicki Minaj makes sense too, just a different type of elder god. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's very Greek god.
That's true.
Hosier and Florence are very
Celtic.
Yeah.
In their way. Anyway, I just think about that post a lot. So
it's a good post. I have a surprise for you.
Did you do the titles?
I sure did.
Oh, is this what you were doing when I was asking you what you were doing and you wouldn't say?
No, I really was reading a news article. You have to get through them.
I can't. I never can.
That's the only reason anyone thinks they're funny is because you're laughing so hard. They're not really that good. I always come up with them while I'm shopping in Target.
No, they are that good. Nobody can understand them because I have the world's most horrific laugh.
We'll post them later.
That's a smart idea.
I think we did that with the first one.
I know, this is why you're the brains behind this operation.
I'm definitely not.
You are. Okay.
Here are the alternate titles for the Dragon Reborn based upon the listed character's point of view. There are, usually I do like the main 6 plus Moiraine plus like 1 or 2 others, but the Dragon Reborn for some reason has very few points of view from outside characters, so
that's true.
I just stuck with the basics. You gotta do it.
Okay. I feel like I can't even do the voice for this first time.
I don't know if I can either. I'm doing it.
So Perrin is in the Borat voice. My wife!
My Borat impression is based completely on the McElroy's Borat impression. I've never seen Borat. No
You'd
idea.
be surprised how often growing up in my childhood that Perry and my older brothers and their friends would say that.
What, my what?
Yeah, and I never knew what it was from.
Yeah,
Until like 6 months ago. This is not a joke.
I still have no context.
I think Borat is probably a stupid movie.
Probably.
So. Okay, this one's my favorite. Okay, the next one is Edwene. And hers is Great Egg Expectations. Which is really funny. Rand's is Rand of Brother. I like that it's not Rand of Brothers.
No, it's singular on purpose because he's on his own.
Alone.
Being his own brother and mom and father and literally everything else. Yep.
Moiraine's is The Babysitter's Club 3, giving a 20-year-old man the sex talk.
Or failing to give a 20-year-old man the sex talk. She doesn't do a great job with Perrin.
Moiraine is not great in this book.
No, yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
Nynaeve's is Nynaeve even in this book?
Is she?
I don't think so. Elaine's is Bossy Pants, which is correct.
She's so annoying.
I hate her. And Matt's is also very good. Matt's is To All the Explosions I've Loved Before.
Matt has a very explosion-based narrative in this book.
He's just blowing everything up.
He just fucking loves explosions. Stupid
King
lunatic.
Explosion Murder.
King Explosion Murder.
God, I wish a new season of My Hero Academia would come out.
Don't we all? Welcome to Everybody Hates Rand, your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Emily Jushaw.
And I'm half of the other co-hosts.
So together we're 1.5 co-hosts.
Yes.
The other half is just
floating
around.
Yeah.
MIA
gone.
since
2018.
Yeah, I guess.
MIA, take it to the house. That's why you take to the house.
I've had the theme song from That's So Raven stuck in my head for
That's so Raven. It's
48
the
hours.
future. I can see.
Yep.
That's so
And I can hear it in her
so
voice.
mysterious to me. You know what other Disney Channel original theme song slapped? Phil of the Future.
Phil of the future.
Keeping it together just as best as he can.
That's a good one.
Phil of the Future. He's a 22nd century man on a holiday.
Okay. We don't need to go through all of it.
I do remember that entire theme song.
I believe you.
Thanks.
So we're back at it with Perrin.
We have like 2 more episodes with him too.
No, just one. 75. After this episode, we're 75% of the way done with Perrin's intro to this entire book. Then we're with Edgeween for 98 episodes. So
Great.
Yeah, great. This is your spoiler alert. We will be discussing spoilers, especially with these chapters, because there's a lot of foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, your titular PSA, the name of our podcast, Everybody Hates Rand, is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. Don't DM us with your feelings about Rand, because it doesn't really matter. Nothing matters.
Nothing matters. Go outside.
God is dead. Everyone's dead. I'm not actually a Nietzsche fan. Nietzsche fan. I take it back.
Surprising.
Rewind.
Alternately, just delete that and submit that scene from Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Kourtney's like, Kim, there's people who are dying.
Yeah, exactly. That one.
That's what happened.
Okay.
That's a really funny scene.
That's a really good scene.
Kim, there's people who are dying.
Okay, we are discussing chapters 6 and 7. Chapter 6 is titled The Hunt Begins, and there was the exact same chapter title in book 2 when it actually made sense, because that was titled The Great Hunt.
Now they're hunting for Rand.
Now they're hunting for Rand, because the greatest game, as we know, is man.
It's true, the most dangerous game.
Oh, is it the most dangerous game?
Yeah, where they hunt men on that creepy island.
Yeah, I got those two things mixed up because they came at me in very similar times in my life. The Most Dangerous Game, the short story, was read to me, not me personally, but my entire 5th grade art class by our art teacher, Mr. Falk, who was...
Your art teacher?
Yeah, he was an absolute absurdity. Don't know what was going on. We would just be sitting there doing our art, and I guess he'd be bored and be like, well... don't have anything to grade because I'm a lunatic, so I'll just read these children a disturbing short story. Anyway, a couple of years later, I then saw the movie The Greatest Game, which was about golf with Shia LaBeouf. And I am here to testify, based solely on that movie, golf is not the greatest game.
Oh.
Yeah, I think we all knew that.
A man won $1 million on a hole-in-one competition that he then used that $1 million to buy out the company that he worked for, then becoming the CEO. And I know this because he called the Aviary today looking to partner with us.
He did personally?
Yeah, and we were all like, what's going on?
On the one hand, I have to respect that as a power move.
I know. Like, I
wouldn't have the foresight. I'd be like... Because
I won $1 million, the first thing I would do is quit my job, not buy the company.
Yeah, but he was like, I guess I can make more money being the CEO of anything, theoretically.
Theoretically.
Also, every man wants to be a CEO. I don't know what the deal is.
I cannot roll my eyes hard enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's on... okay, we don't have to talk
up?
about
Okay,
men.
yeah, anyway.
I mean, we do, but...
Speaking of men who want to be CEOs of the world...
Randall Thor.
Randall Thor, he fucked off in the night. Lan wakes Perrin up and is like, Rand's gone. And then Perrin takes his sweet-ass time getting out of bed.
Perrin's like, I'm so hungry.
It's actually hilarious. I was cracking up reading this because there's no sense of urgency at all. Perrin's just like, well, this might as well happen.
Perrin's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Perrin, zero concern about Rand's actual safety. Right. Zero concern about his sanity. That never comes up.
Well, I know, because Lan's like, Rand is gone. And there's like, Perrin's like, does that mean he left? Does that mean he's been taken? Does that mean he's dead? He's just like, nah, whatever. We'll get there.
No, if someone came to me and was like, I'm trying to think of a person who was previously my best friend, but I now have a convoluted relationship with, that doesn't really... Usually I have former best friends who are still good friends or no relationship.
You can talk about me in that way if you'd like.
Yeah, but I'm still good friends with you, so... If we grew apart and someone then came to me and was like, woke me up, first of all, waking me up, a mistake. I'm an angry sleeper.
Like a bear?
Like a bear. Second of all, if they woke me up and were like, Sally's gone, I'd be like, What? Tell me more. You don't just get to leave.
Yeah.
I need more info.
Details,
where?
Please.
Do you know where? Gone is such a verb to use. Such a vague verb.
Gone Girl, baby.
Rand
did Gone Girl
Rand
himself.
did Gone Girl. He even left a note.
Fucking note that's
Yeah.
like, when you find this, I've been murdered by my husband with this fake diary that I made. In
Dreams.
This shitty, stupid book that pretends that it's interesting, but... That's Gone Girl.
I didn't read that book or see that movie.
Oh my god, the book is... This is not a podcast about Gone Girl, but I did not like it, so...
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck is in the movie, which is like, why?
Why is Ben Affleck in any movies at this point?
I don't know, why is Ben Affleck...
Has Ben Affleck ever been in a good role? I can't think... I've always known Ben Affleck existed, but I can't think of a single lovable role that he's been in. Even actors that I'm, like, otherwise neutral about, they have a role that I'm like...
Oh, yeah.
I did like that role. I did like that thing they did. Chris Pratt, who I absolutely despise...
Yeah, he's a shit.
As a human being, I did like Andy in Parks and
No,
Rec.
it was fun. This morning, for some reason, I'm sick. Shocking, I know.
Yeah.
It's been 6 minutes, so you can assume I'm sick again. But this morning, I don't know what made me think of it, but I was cracking up about that scene in Parks and Rec where he's like, Leslie, I've Googled your symptoms, and I think you have network connectivity error.
That is the single funniest line of all time.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Dragon Reborn and not
whatever.
talk about some other stuff.
Okay, so Perrin then, languidly walks to Moiraine's cabin, just, stops to smell the roses, stops to talk to Masema.
Well, and I find that moment with Masema really interesting, because at first Rand's like, first he says, like, why ever Rand has left, and I'm like, what, who are you, William Shakespeare? And then he immediately, like, Masema doesn't understand.
Wherever Rand went, that must be a typo. It has to be.
I think Robert Jordan was like, tired Perrin becomes Elizabethan. Wheresoever Rand went, whilst he
Rand hath gone.
Rand hath gone into the ether, he hath gone. Wherefore art thou Randall Thor?
Yeah, honestly.
But then he, like, switches to Masema's weird rhetoric and is like, the Lord Dragon is doing things according to his plan.
Yeah, Perrin and Masema are going to interact later in this series after Masema's gone full zealot. I don't know, is there a good parallel between what Masema is and what he becomes? And historical parallels. Basically, he's a cult leader.
Yeah, zealot, terrorist.
Yeah, hard to say. Anyway, before Masema goes full, drinks the Kool-Aid. Although he has drunk the Kool-Aid now, it's before he has the power to
make other people
drink the Kool-Aid. And yeah, it's just weird because there's this moment here that's so casual, because, like, I too have done this. If I'm talking to someone if I'm in a conversation with someone and they're just totally, like, we're not on the same wavelength at all, I'll, like, switch over to their wavelength just to end the interaction faster.
That's true.
Like, it's just a way to end this awkward interaction and to, like, get them to calm down.
Yeah.
But, like, the more people do this with Masema,
yeah,
like, the more it becomes, like, the more it grows.
Yeah, it's like that, to use a shitty metaphor, it's like when you're at Thanksgiving with your racist family and you just, like, don't say anything.
Yeah.
And it just is, like, kind of, like, builds in, an affirmation to their mind that they can continue to say these types of things and can continue to think this type of way. Because it's not, like, when you're not talking to your racist family, which you should, and be like, you're a racist piece of shit. It's like, obviously, like, not saying anything, you're affirming them, but when people talk to Masema this way, it's very much like the way you are thinking is correct and valid, and you seem to be the only one doing it.
Masema's like the poster child for people thinking that he's not going to be an issue and that he's just kind of weird and needs to be left on his own to sort things out.
Yeah.
And get over his weird issues, and then he immediately becomes, basically a person with a gun in a crowded area. Like, that is Masema's general effect on the population. Mm-hmm. And it's just wild because we have so many people here who could try and prevent this from happening. Like, Rand especially perhaps has a responsibility here to be like, listen.
Yeah.
But even, there's also this implication that Masema just, like, cannot be reasoned with.
Yeah.
Which is all just, like, confusing and convoluted, and I think speaks to, like, the heart of fanaticism and terrorism that sometimes people literally cannot be reasoned with, but we still have a responsibility to try.
Yeah, especially Rand.
Yeah.
Like, I know Rand is
busy,
has both fucked off physically and psychologically at this moment. But at some point in the future, you have to be like, Randall, please stop fucking around the waist.
Rand, stop making out with Elaine for 1 minute.
And
talk to
singular minute.
This
you
boy.
Take your tongue out of Elaine's mouth.
Are you so stupid? Okay. Yeah, so then Perrin goes into Moiraine's cabin, reads Rand's emo letter of betrayal. And it's like,
what I do whilst doing once.
There are lies and dreams and death, but dreams hold truth too. And it's like, alright. Clue, Colonel Mustard in the library with the wrench. Like,
I've had to edit that poem in a college workshop.
Basically, yeah. We've all had to edit that poem in a college workshop. Sometime we'll tell you guys about our college poetry class, which had some, probably, terrorists in it.
There were some Masemas in that class, for sure.
White men with a love of guns. Yeah. Anyway, the meat of this interaction is them figuring out where Rand went. And eventually Perrin is like, well, I've had these weird dreams too, like that Rand mentions, and I've had them about Calendor. And so Lan goes to, like, investigate and find out if anyone else has had weird dreams, because, hey, people who can channel it, turns out, can touch other people's dreams.
Which is creepy.
There's a really interesting paragraph here wherein Perrin is like, actually, prior to that, Perrin is like, hey, maybe Rand being, Jesus or whatever, actually knows what to do better than you do. And Moiraine's like, consider this. No.
Basically.
Consider this. I also have to keep him alive when all of these threats are out there. And so, like, even if he does want to, like, fuck off and do his own thing, I kind of need to be there. Yeah. Although, then she conveniently mentions, she's like, hey, some of the Forsaken could be loosed, and then she conveniently mentions all the ones that will in this book.
Make the presence.
Except for Asmodean, who will show up in the next book.
Asmodean.
I
love that Asmodean.
Yeah, the best of the Forsaken.
And gone before his time.
Gone too soon. Anyway, then dreams, blah, 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 blah. And
I know we want to cast Lin-Manuel Miranda as Val and Luca because that's perfect, but a secondary option would be...
They would both be very good.
Yeah.
I
know we also think that Leslie Odom Jr. would be a really good Asmodean.
They could switch. And also...
just, like, all the time. It's just constantly...
I'm saying either one of them could be either role.
True.
But also, yeah, it would be hilarious if about halfway through the series they just
switched roles.
They just switched, and there was no comment made on it ever.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt with that nonsense comment, but I just think it would be funny.
I just feel like Lin-Manuel Miranda has more, like, gay circus vibes.
You're right. You're absolutely correct.
And Leslie Odom Jr. has a lot of, like, Angel of Music.
You're right. I forgot that we had already cast Leslie Odom Jr. before I started talking. So
no, they could both be perfect, because imagine Lin-Manuel Miranda playing the ukulele in the background of every scene.
Just staring into the camera while Rand talks to people.
Exactly.
Why would it be the ukulele?
I don't know. Because I couldn't remember what a lute was. They're similar, right?
Asmodean play Despacito on the ukulele.
Yeah, okay, that's another thing that I want from the Wheel of Time television show, is I want Asmodean I want, everyone's got their flutes and their harps and whatever, but then Asmodean rolls in with, like, a kazoo, a harmonica, like, the weirdest musical instruments, and just no one knows to comment on it. They're just like, okay.
Like a xylophone?
Yeah.
A fucking didgeridoo?
Yeah. And I want the musical instrument he's using in the background to switch every scene, sometimes within the scene.
Yeah, he puts down a ukulele and picks up a...
Yeah, just, like, no continuity. The camera flashes away and suddenly he's back with a didgeridoo. And the music always comes out sounding like Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yes, this is so sad. Asmodean play Cut to the Feeling by Carly Rae Jepsen.
Okay, but this is so sad. Asmodean play Despacito. It's a very good meme.
Asmodean play Despacito.
Okay, Okay, fuck. Let's get through this stupid thing.
We need to get through man. I'm having a rough time. Basically, Perrin and Moiraine have a battle of wills.
Exactly.
Like 10 pages. Where Perrin's like, fuck you! And Moiraine's like, no, fuck you!
It's very annoying. I mean, they just fight about every little thing. And on the one hand, it's like, yeah, this is a way to write the scene so that all the information that we, the reader, need gets dispensed. But it's also kind of like out of character for Perrin. Mm-hmm. Although, you know, it's sort of written to be like, this is his snapping point. This is the book where he's suddenly going to start being a rebellious teen rather than an obedient teen. It's just, oh, one more thing first. Moiraine does have a paragraph here where she, like, mentions a bunch of shit that Rand's gonna do in the Carathian cycle. And literally everything she mentions is, you know, she's got this vague stuff like, what does it mean that he shall slay his people with the sword of peace and destroy them with the leaf? That's what happens with the ale and the revelation with the Tuatha'an. What wounds of madness and cutting of hope has he healed? That's when he, you know,
cleanses Sidon.
What chains has he broken and who put into chains? And, like, millions of people, honestly, at this point.
It mentions the 9 moons, right? The Sean.
Yeah, it mentions he'll bind the 9 moons to serve him, which actually, you know, implies that he'll get Tuon to kneel to him. But what's interesting is that the Shanshin then have their own version of the prophecy, and they're like, no, the Dragon Reborn will be subservient to us, of course.
Yeah. So, obviously, the Shanshin are on top.
Obviously, we're in charge. So it's just, like, a kind of interesting thing that I don't think gets delved into enough, which is that prophecy does come from specific people with agendas who might warp it to fit their agendas.
Some Shanshin asshole is like, everyone bows to me.
Yeah.
I'm Ardor Hawkwings.
Yeah. Bitch. Anyway, Perrin and Moiraine's relationship in this whole thing is, like, I don't even know what to say about it, really. I just have such a hard time with the way the boys react to Moiraine. Like this will come as no surprise, but Matt is the most understandable to me because his instinct is to just, like, put space between them because he's kind of freaked out by her.
Yeah.
But he's not really... And, like, he kind of thinks it's fun to annoy her.
Yeah.
But he's not just, like, total asshole all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas Perrin and Rand have, like, this warped sense of, like, Moiraine's at the center of our lives, ruining our lives, so I have to fight back against it because Moiraine represents my fate.
Yeah.
In this really weird way. And it's just, like, really annoying to me. We've talked already about how it's annoying because Moiraine's a woman, and, you know, then there's a whole gender thing at play here that women as authority figures for some reason cannot be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. But also, up until this point in the book, I just don't comprehend what Moiraine has done that's so bad.
I know.
It's like, she just hasn't forced them into anything. She's like, you should leave, because people are gonna die. But it's not like she's like, I'm gonna tie you up and take you. And obviously there's an emotional forcing there, but it's like, she's just laying out the options for you as they are. It's not really her fault that they're so one-sided. And she's doing her best to keep you alive.
Yeah.
What annoys me is that Rand and Perrin, and Matt to a lesser extent, just refuse to take responsibility for their own actions, refuse to be like, I too had a part in this. I went along with it, I'm still going along with it, and it's only, like, it's like they forget that they're people until book 3, and then they're like, I have to be an asshole about this.
Yeah. No, it's really just, like, and at this point it's just really exhausting. I'm like, I get it, you don't like Moiraine.
Yeah.
Like, and what's really upsetting is that Perrin having this snapping moment at this point, it's like, this is the first point in the scene where, like, the first point in the series where you understand that you are on, like, a cosmic trajectory towards something bad. Like, if anything, you should be like, this is a realization where you're like, Moiraine has been helping me get prepared for this moment. Like, without Moiraine, I would be dead. And so it's just, like, feels like I could get in the first 2 books where they're, like, having this, like, teenage reaction where they're like, you as a manifestation of my fate, are the only place where I can, like, direct this angst. That doesn't make it correct, but it, like, makes it a little bit understandable because they're dumb teen boys. But, like, when you're starting to get this realization that your friend Rand is the Dragon Reborn of prophecy, which means you are on a trajectory towards the literal end of the world, it's like, maybe step up and be responsible and be like, Moiraine is going to be the most competent person able to take care of us. Like, I'm sorry that your ego is so offended by having someone tell you what you need to do, someone more intelligent than you. It's so annoying.
It's just, yeah, like, if the end of the world is nigh and I feel like I'm going to be in the middle of it, like, when you start a new job and you don't know what to do, aren't you asking people constantly? Because I do that, and I just, like, can't understand when people are like, I know better. It's a mindset that I totally can't comprehend. I'm like, no, you don't. You're 20.
Yeah.
And it's like, if they're like, well, Moiraine has an attitude problem because she doesn't tell me anything. I'm like, maybe she'd tell you more shit if you were respectful and, like, spoke to her like a human being.
Yeah, if you tried to, you know, cultivate that relationship. Like, admittedly, I do think Moiraine is one of, like, has the most frustrating, like, mentor trope where she withholds a lot of information.
That's very annoying.
It's very frustrating, and, like, it's a plot device that Robert Jordan relies on way too heavily.
Yeah.
And so, like, I get that that's annoying, but instead of just, like, freaking out about it, like, it's like that thing when you're a teenager and you're like, oh, my parents don't treat me like I'm an adult. And I'm like, well, you're acting like a child. And when you start to, like, take responsibility for yourself and, like, you know, get a job and, like, start, you know, handling things maturely, your parents then, like, react to you in a different way.
Right.
It's like Moiraine has 3 14-year-old children instead of 3 20-year-old allies. And it's very annoying.
Yeah. Like, at this point in the series, I just want everyone to be kind of, like, treating each other like there's not a power differential.
Yeah.
Like, it's a two-sided thing. We can all admit that Moiraine is not doing the best that she could be doing here. She's like, she's returning assholery for assholery.
Yeah, and Moiraine also is, like, in terms of Aes Sedai that, like, wield their power problematically, I think Moiraine is at the heart of that. And, like, she was raised as a Kyrian noble. Like, I think that's just sort of her background, is being in charge and not having that questioned. Mm-hmm. And so, like, yes, she's coming at it from, like, a pretty aristocratic way. Like, I don't owe you
an explanation
for what I, the Aes Sedai, am doing. And that's just kind of a generally annoying attitude, but also the boys are so annoying about it.
I know. I get bored after a certain point with characters who are supposed to be on the same side having relationships that are what's the word?
This fraught.
Yeah, it's like you can have a troubled relationship, but like an antagonistic relationship with people you're allied with, it just, like, kind of bores me.
Well, yeah, because it's like I have worked on teams with coworkers that I just, like, have a hard time with, but it's like I'm working closely with that person, so it's like, in order to make this bearable for anybody and make the job work, you have to, like, figure out how to work with that person. And, like, that would be an interesting arc, like, have people on the world-saving team who just, like, don't get along, but they're trying really hard to, like,
have a working
build a
relationship.
better relationship. Yeah, like, it's called a working relationship for a reason. Like, you don't need to go get drinks with Moiraine every Friday, but, like, you gotta figure something out. You can't just, like, be this antagonistic. It's just, like, it's honestly really irresponsible. And it goes back to, like, what we've talked about before about how, like, and you mentioned it earlier about how the boys don't want to, like, take responsibility for their actions. And the boys, especially, like, Perrin, I think, for some reason. Like, Matt has a weird relationship with fate in that he, like, it's just, like, I don't always want to excuse Matt. I know we're, like, big Matt people here, but, like, obviously Matt acts like an idiot. But, like, Rand and Perrin in particular just, like, push against their fate and, like, really, and without understanding how destructive it is towards other people. And the way that Perrin is treating Moiraine is a problem for the world. It's a problem for the team. Where, like, Edwene and Nynaeve and Elaine and Min, sort of to an extent, and Avienda and all these women are, like, embracing the fact that they have responsibility that they need to live up to, and the boys just, like, don't. And so it's, again, this narrative that, like, lets men get off the hook for their responsibility. And, like, how destructive to other people that, like, their inability to, like, do anything is. That was confusing, but hopefully there was some nugget in there that is interesting.
No, it's just, like, more gender stuff that's very... And, like, you know, it's often written off to be, like, a battle of the sexes thing, which Robert Jordan just fucking loves to write about, which can get annoying, even though it's at the center of this series. It's, like, battle of the sexes are not, like... We don't have to have literally every relationship between men and women be this fraught.
Based on this, like...
I think, I was thinking this as I read, I think the difference between Matt and Perrin, maybe Matt and Perrin and Rand, is that when Moiraine asks Perrin or Rand to do something, they'll verbally fight back against it in the moment. Matt will say, yeah, sure, and then fuck off and do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Like, which is exactly how this book ends, which is really interesting. Moiraine's like, you've got to stick around, and Matt's like, sure, like, already planning.
Yeah, he's plotting his escape.
His escape. And just kind of like, it's fate more than Moiraine herself who sort of reins him in.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just like, sort of a more interesting way of looking at it, I think.
Yeah, and it just is like... I don't know. Again, like, with Matt, it, like, exists outside of his specific relationship to Moiraine, because Matt does that to everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
People be like, unless you, like, have a legally binding contract with Matt, he's like, peace the fuck out, motherfucker.
He's like, bye.
I'm gonna leave. Like, he tries to leave Kyrian, but ends up with an army. Like, that just happens with everything, but specifically with Rand and Perrin and Moiraine, it is this, like, battle of, like, fuck you, you're not in charge of me. And Moiraine's like, I'm not actually trying to be in charge of you. I do know what is correct. I'm just bad at being, like, not weird about it.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. It's just kind of like a mishmash of bad writing tropes.
Yeah.
Kind of combined in these three characters in a really annoying way.
Yeah, and Robert Jordan uses, like, interpersonal conflict a lot for exposition.
Yeah.
Like, when characters are arguing, that's how we get
information,
which is, like, a weird thing. I'm trying to think of other books that do it as much as Robert Jordan does, but I just...
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's just, like, we don't necessarily need every scene to be combative just to, like, get information. Like,
yeah.
I think Robert, and maybe a lot of other writers, tend to think that it's boring if characters are just talking.
That's bad writing, then.
No, it's, like, you can still have characters talking in an interesting way. Like, your characters ought to be strong enough to, like, carry themselves through a conversation.
Yeah, or, like... I think the implication is that, like, if you have multiple characters in a scene, you need to have a character speak so we don't forget that they're there.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, if Moiraine just needs to, like, lecture for a little bit, I'm chill to sit down in Perrin's point of view and just listen. I'm
totally happy with that.
But, like, I can't imagine being told that, like, the Forsaken, these, like, 13 evil demons
bastards
are back and being like, well, fuck you! Instead of being like, what are we gonna do about this shit? I'm frightened.
Yeah,
Lanfear
like,
and her tits are out for me.
Tell me more. Anyway, yeah, so the scene kind of ends with Moiraine being like, okay, well, Min's gonna go to Tar Valon, and Min's like, no, I wanna go to my boyfriend, and Moiraine's like, no, I need you to go to the Emerald Sea, you asshole.
She's like, you are the only messenger I can trust.
Yeah, because all the Shienarans are on death's door or whatever,
yeah.
Except for Uno, who clearly needs to be there to dab them all.
Yeah, it's really sad that we have to leave Uno behind.
I know, I'm like, hello? Consider someone else so that Uno can be there.
Leave Perrin behind.
Obviously. So Moiraine's like, just me and Lan and Perrin and Loyal are gonna go after Rand. I'm just gonna cut down the fellowship right away.
Slice it by about 150 people.
Yeah. So then they leave, and Min's like, Min has some good moments here. Min's like to Lan, do you have any messages you want me to carry to Nynaeve, perhaps? And Lan's like, does fucking everyone know about my secret relationship? And Min's like, it's not a secret, bitch. You're so obvious. And furthermore, so is Nynaeve. She's literally the most obvious woman on the planet.
You're both very heterosexual.
Yeah, you're both very obnoxious.
They really do have the most annoying relationship.
I know. Anyway, then Min's like, hey, Perrin, like, you're going on this journey, and I saw some new stuff about you that you need to know. She says, an ailment in a cage, Gaul.
She starts with Gaul, lest you forget.
Important.
The most important
Tuatha on with a sword, which will be Aram, which won't be until the next book, so whatever. A falcon and a hawk perching on your shoulders, both female, I think, and that's Fael and Berylane.
So, Fael is the falcon.
Mm-hmm.
Berylane is the hawk.
Yeah.
I never understood the hawk symbolism with Berylane.
I think it's like the main thing.
Oh, is that like
it's like the crest or something. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I know it's like side-eyed at some point.
Wink, wink. You
Yeah.
get it's a hawk. Wink, wink.
You get it, it's a hawk. And that's, like, really annoying to me because I just am annoyed by the fact that the love triangle between, the non-existent love triangle between Perrin, Moiraine, and Fail is, like, a thing.
I just don't get it.
I just can't comprehend it, why it doesn't move the plot forward in any meaningful way. It's stupid.
I genuinely don't understand why it has to be like, and it's also like Moiraine not respecting parents' consent.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like,
So annoying.
why is this here?
She's also like, if you ever meet a woman, the most beautiful woman you've ever seen, run. And Perrin's like, what? Why? And it's like, you stupid asshole. It's land fear. Because it's land fear. Then there's the most iconic paragraph of all time.
I know.
Perrin did not like jumping to conclusions. It was one of the reasons some people thought him slow-witted, but he totaled up a number of things Min had said in the last few days and came to a startling conclusion.
Fucking moron.
He's like, Min, you're really just a friend. You're like a sister to me. And Min's like, stares at him for a full 30 seconds and is like, okay, that's fine.
No, I love it when she's like, oh, Perrin, don't you know that I love you?
And he's like, what? And she's like a brother, asshole. You stupid idiot. And he's like, oh, if not me, then Rand. And she's like, yes, tragically, that is so.
I know. Her response is pretty good, where she's like, yeah. Where she basically says, yes, tragically.
Yes, tragically. She's like, unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, it is that asshole.
And then Perrin's like, at least you'll be safe in Tarvalon. And she's like, meh, you think Tarvalon's safe? And he's like, if Tarvalon's not safe, then nowhere's safe. Which is foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Because Min will be in the middle of the Tarvalon nonsense, which is the next book.
That's right. The breaking of the tower.
Yeah, the breaking of the tower.
Working of the tower.
Anyway, so that's that chapter. And then they kind of just...
Then it's a traveling chapter.
Yeah, then it's a traveling chapter, and truly nothing interesting happens. They're just traveling. Literally, Perrin says, in the beginning at least, it was a boring journey. And I'm like, the entire thing is a boring journey.
It's 6 pages of shit.
You just
including a dumb argument about how, like, Moiraine's like, oh, look, I can catch all these fish. And Perrin's like, well, it's really hard. And she catches a bunch of fish. And I'm like, this is the most, like, well, my dad didn't have daughters, so he taught me how to catch fish moment that I've ever seen.
I know, I was like, oh, first of all, what the fuck?
Why does Moiraine need to catch fish?
Is she just doing magic?
Yeah.
It's just like one of those scenes that could be so much better if Robert Jordan wasn't writing their relationship to be so fraught.
Yeah.
If Moiraine comes down and does the exact thing that Perrin has been complaining that she doesn't do, which is like help out around the camp.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll help catch fish.
Yeah.
And he's like, fine, but she does it better than him because she uses magic or some shit. And he's like, and isn't it so annoying how she doesn't do any of the chores? And everyone's like, not really.
She just caught like a bunch of fish.
It's just like, I don't know. Like, I too would probably be annoyed if my mentor figure wasn't like pulling any of the camp weight.
Yeah.
But also I'm kind of like, she probably has other shit going on.
Yeah, she's probably like warding you from monsters and
shit.
She just doesn't want to tell you that you're being hunted.
Yeah, like there's other stuff going on.
She's communing with nature.
It's just annoying. Yeah, speaking of communing with nature, Perrin's like, can't wait to get to a city so I can get rid of the wolves. Little does he know. Because he's stupid.
Wolves go everywhere.
Yeah, wolves go everywhere.
Well, and speaking of communing with nature, this is another one. I think Lan is the worst character of all time.
Oh
Sorry,
God.
guys. Line drawn in the sand. I think he's literally so ridiculous and stupid. But when they're like, there's like, Lan could track Rand by the shifting of one single pebble. And it's like, I'm going to kill myself.
I'm like, I don't care.
Literally so stupid.
What's way more interesting is how Lan, like, Lan just, like, leaves little signs for Moiraine to follow him.
Yeah.
And Moiraine just, like, has this, like, dictionary of signs and what they mean. And it's like, I'll just go right, because Lan bent a twig that way. And it's like, what the fuck kind of weird relationship have you guys cultivated in the last 10 years?
I think Lan and Moiraine have a stupid relationship.
I do, too.
I think Lan is literally could be deleted and the series would be better.
Yeah, probably. Lan serves... I have now reread the series and I'm in book 13. And so far, Lan has not served a single purpose. And he's forced to serve a purpose in book 14. Not like forced, just like literally someone else should have done it. Mm. And they just have Lan do it so that Lan's point as a character will have been made. And
it
it's
doesn't
like,
exist.
Yeah. It's like, consider this. Delete Lan. Have Matt kill that particular person because he should have.
Like, you could give Nynaeve a vibrator and it would serve the same purpose. I stand by that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway.
So, fuck that. Okay. We'll be next week.
We'll be next week back at this kitchen table with more shit.
We'll be back next week with absolutely more Perrin, who is just going to talk about dreams and wolves and people going crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, which at least will be slightly more interesting than this.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Any housekeeping?
It would be super awesome if any of you use iTunes to drop by that iTunes podcast app and just rate and review the podcast. It's a big help in increasing visibility, and of course we want more people to watch the podcast. Listen to the podcast. We are now officially on YouTube. I figured out whatever glitch I was having, so starting season 3 you can find us on YouTube if that's like a convenient way to listen at work or wherever you are. That's where I listen to podcasts, because I don't do my job. Who does? Still working on Google Podcasts, so sorry that that's been weird. I really don't know what's going on, but I'm trying to figure it out. As always, we're on the internet. Please check us out on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram. We'd love for you to check out our website. I've been writing a few blogs there if you want more EHR content. Trying to get us on a weekly schedule, but for now it's kind of bi-weekly or bi-monthly. I never know what to say.
I don't know either. I think they both technically are the same.
English is a fake language.
Yeah, English was made up
by a bunch of losers.
Do you remember that scene where Thor was like, all words are made up?
All words are made up.
It was like the smartest thing anyone's ever said.
How is Thor so good?
How is Thor smarter than Iron Man in one sentence?
Yeah. That's like a pirate and angel with a... Oh my god, what's happening to me? I'm having a stroke.
You're okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
Oh, I need to sign off.
Yeah.
Nobody sent us any sign-offs yet. But so just so you know, if you want to send us sign-offs, you can, and share your traumas with us. I had a really funny one. I can't remember what it was, though. Yeah, what's yours? Go ahead, Emily.
Today, me and our friendly neighborhood maintenance man decided to go through our lost and found bin, which I didn't know existed until 2 weeks ago, and which I'm pretty sure everyone else forgot about. So there's just, like, a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Including, Derek pulled out, and he looked me dead in the eye as he did this, the most, like, convoluted mass of black lace I've ever seen, and stared me dead in the eye and was like, do you think this would look good on me?
Did you tell him, yes, Derek, you're beautiful?
I was like, yeah, you should put it on. And he was like, I think I'll get herpes from this. And I was like, you probably would.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that. Kids, basically if you lose something at a hotel, it's lost forever, so give up.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the nightmare scenario. I was really hoping you were going to say dildo.
No, that would have been very interesting. But no, it was lingerie. It was lingerie.
Good for Derek. I hope he kept it.
Derek's very confident in his masculinity.
He sounds like it. Derek sounds like an absolute fucking unit.
I love him.
Become confident in your masculinity.
Unlike Perrin.
It's your challenge this week.
Bye.
Bye.